Hello students. We'll be taking another chapter for Indian polity. See, basically what we are trying to read today, are going to read today, is that all the features we have already covered in our previous classes. But I just wanted to make them assimilated at a single place so that it will be easy for you in order to have the document and also the understanding, obviously. So basically we have discussed more of the features that in our previous classes. We'll be dealing with a parliamentary system and federalism as such in today's class. Okay, so see, uh, as far as the parliamentary system is concerned, you need to first understand that worldwide, in any of the democratic country, the kind of polity that particular country has is being determined uh, with respect to the relationship between the legislature and the executive, and that determines or that is determined rather based on a particular philosophy which is said to be the principle of separation of power. So before basically going to this, let's learn a little about Montesquieu model of separation of power. Okay, see, it is a basic understanding that power corrupts. Okay, so the concentration of power in any individual or in any institutions will actually make that particular individual or institution authoritative in nature. So for the smooth functioning of state also, based on the same analogy that power should not be concentrated at a place, Montesquieu, a French philosopher, talked about a model of polity wherein he says that the power has to be distributed into the three organs of the states. What are the three organs of the states? It's the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Okay, so there should not be concentration of power in any of these single institution, neither executive nor legislature nor judiciary. Rather, the power should be distributed. The power should be distributed or rather separated. So the model that Montesquieu talks about is more of a watertight separation model, wherein there is no relationship between one organ with other, and the power for each of the organ is so defined in the constitution. It means none of the organ can interfere in the working of other. Now this particular model of separation of power is what Montesquieu was talking about, wherein it is watertight model. Now this model is being entrusted by the presidential system, wherein there is absolute separation of power or boundaries between the three organs of the state. But that is not the condition when we come to the Indian parliamentary system, which obviously takes care of the separation of power principle, but not in a rigid way. That is because when we talk about the organs of the state over here, then we see that in case of India, the legislature is the macrocosm of which the executive is carved out. Hence, here there is fusion of power and not separation of power. So, we have separation of power, but not a watertight model as is being followed by the presidential system of polity. So, we have this. Now, separation of power has also been listed as one of the feature of basic structure doctrine. But since we do not have a watertight model of separation of power between the different organs of the state, we have come up with a doctrine of checks and balances. Now, this particular doctrine of checks and balances says that how one organ can control the activity of other, and so can the other organ of the first one. Now, this particular model, wherein there is mutual working and control of authority by one organ of the state vis-a-vis other, is the mixture of two things. One is the model of separation of power, though not watertight, but along with that, the doctrine of checks and balances. So when we talk about modern form of democratic polity, we generally see two kinds of polity working worldwide. One is the parliamentary system and the other is the presidential system. So the relation between the legislature and the executive would decide what kind of a system we'll call it. Fine. So when we see in case of India, we have already learned that executive is a part of legislature. Also, the executive is accountable for its action to the legislature. So there is a mutual checks and balances as well as it is being carved out of that particular body politic. But in case of a presidential system, what happens is the legislature is completely different from the executive. At the same time, there is no accountability of the executive directly to the legislature. So there comes the basic difference between a parliamentary system and a presidential system. The kind of parliamentary system that we have taken is from the Britain's model. Okay. Now, we have already dealt about the basic feature of parliamentary system, but let's compare the features of parliamentary system with that of the presidential system to have a clear idea about the difference between both of the system. The first is in parliamentary system it is fusion of power, we just discussed, whereas in the presidential system it is the separation of power, or rather what we can say the watertight differentiation model as given by Montesquieu. The second is double membership. See, in case of the parliamentary system, we have discussed that executive is being carved out of the legislature. The executive is taken out of the legislature. Hence, the member of the executives are, along with having the membership of the executive, also have the membership of the legislature. Hence, they have dual membership. But in case of the presidential system, it is single membership. That is because the legislature and the executive are different and they do not align over one another. Hence, the membership of legislature is confined to a few members who are not a part of the executive branch. Okay, so they are having different membership. The third is dual executive. See, in a parliamentary system, you will see two heads. One is the head of the state and the other is the head of the government. The president is known to be the head of the state, or the king in case of Britain is the head of the state, whereas the prime minister is called to be the head of the government. De jure and de facto is what are the terms for that. But in case of the presidential system, you will see a single authority who is being also the head of the state, at the same time head of the government. So the president of the United States is both of the two things, that is head of the government as well as being head of the state, is vested in a single position. Okay. The next is majority party rule. See, that we have already discussed, that in case of a parliamentary system, the party which has got the mandate of the people in majority in the lower house of the bicameral legislature is the one which is nominated to power. Okay, but in case of the presidential system, it is the president and the legislature, they are elected separately and at the same time for fixed time period. So for president, there is a presidential election. For the legislator, that goes for the election for the Congress. Okay. In case of parliamentary system, you have collective responsibility. Now, this is a basic feature which is the spirit behind the parliamentary system. What is collective responsibility? Collective responsibility is that the Council of Ministers, which is the key arc of the executive functionaries, the Council of Ministers is responsible to the Parliament in general and the lower house in particular. Okay, so there is this responsibility, collective responsibility, that is swim and sink together. But there is no such concept of collective responsibility in case of presidential system. Okay, See, the basic behind all of this differentiation is the principle of separation of power. So if you understand that, you can very well relate it to what is happening with all other features that we are discussing to determine the difference between the parliamentary system and the presidential system. Okay. Also, in a parliamentary system, there is political homogeneity. That means the executive which is ruling the country will be largely from a single party. Okay, in case of coalition government, there can be some kind of a political heterogeneity, but largely it is political homogeneity. But in case of a presidential system, political homogeneity may not exist. That is because, see, the presidential system is largely based on a model called as spoil system. Spoil system means it's like whenever a king or a ruler goes to another place to invade that particular place and wins it, then whatever spoils it gets from that particular invasion, that he distributes among his people who helped him in that particular invasion. As such, the one who is more nearer to the invader gets more of spoils. That particular spoil system is reflected in the presidential system, where important positions and posts are given to the one who is more closer to the president. Okay, so that is what is the concept behind spoil system, which is being practiced by the presidential system. Okay, one of the important things that we have already discussed is that there is leadership of the prime minister in case of a parliamentary form of government, and that is why many a times with incoming of a strong prime minister, the parliamentary form of government is also termed as prime ministerial form of government. Though the term has been used in the context of British polity, but that is completely true as far as the Indian polity is also concerned. So prime ministers like Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, or the present prime minister can be very well said to be leading a prime ministerial form of government. Okay, but in case of a presidential system, it is always the domination of the president. Why domination? Because of that spoil system philosophy that we just learned, that the president will dominate the complete polity with single hand. Okay, the prime minister may work, but he works along with the help of the council of ministers. Prime minister is said to be primus inter pares, but then the president dominates the executive. Okay, as far as the parliamentary system is concerned, it is based on the philosophy of dissolution of lower house. So when the lower house is dissolved, the government loses its mandate. But in case of presidential system, there is no such concept as dissolution of lower house, because the president is elected for a fixed term. And if in any case the president is being removed, then the vice president becomes the president. So that particular time frame is maintained. Okay, that is not compromised with. But in case of India, very well the government can be removed. Okay, because it has to prove its responsibility to the lower house. Okay.